podcast, Simbaza brings a brilliant global perspective, unmatched depth to every conversation. Welcome, Simbaza.
Hey Jen, what's up? How you doing?
Good, good,
Hear
good,
me
good.
well?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am here. How have you been? How's the week?
Yeah, not too bad. We have a holiday approaching, so I'm
Oh
looking
yeah.
forward. Yeah, looking forward to that. And we are acknowledging Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm so glad to do that today as well. How about
That's
you?
what's yeah. It's a long time coming. This month was Mental Health Month, but unfortunately, we've not been able to capture that moment until today. So I think it was necessary before the month ends we capture it and make it part and parcel of our show and have the people kind of know about what's going on with our mental selves because I think it is important.
For sure, for sure. I mean, the episode where we talked about domestic violence, I think we got and had an expert, licensed counselor. We definitely kind of glossed over it. So I feel like just having that full conversation behind that one is good. So I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, it is awesome to have had Denise, who she came in for one thing, and we didn't want to overwhelm her, so we decided to go with one item at a time, and I guess that worked for that moment. And I mean, shout outs to her. She did a great job, and here we
For
are
sure.
now. And I know she came and did that before with mental. I think she was here for mental health last year, and it's
Yes.
yeah. So
True.
it's all
Licensed counselor Denise Moore, who was kind enough to leave a message in the chat. So shout out to Denise Moore, who is Heal, Empower, Release. All right.
yeah.
And
So we'll start with the affirmation for the week. The affirmation of the week, which is also tied to mental health, says that I am safe in this moment, here and now. I'll repeat that again. It says, I'm safe in this moment and now. That's our affirmation for the week. And then I want to send a shout out to everyone who's joining in on Clubhouse. Somebody popped in on Clubhouse. Thank you for joining. And of course, we are on YouTube, Facebook, and StreamYard, of course, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Not forgetting, we are on TikTok, and people who are joining in, I want to say thank you so much. And here we are, ready for the show. Are we ready?
yes, and shout out to all the platforms that will carry the broadcast. The audio version will be coming along soon. Where you can catch us, on our global podcast on all of the places where podcasts can be found. So stay tuned for the audio version as well. Let's see.
Awesome, awesome. And Jen, we're gonna talk about this travel that I've done.
Yes.
Did do some traveling here, and my travels led me to Sierra Leone. Now, Sierra Leone's capital is called Freetown, was established back in 1792 as a settlement for freed and runaway slaves from England, Nova Scotia, and the Americas.
Nova
Now,
Scotia.
they, yes, and they speak Creole is the language, even though English is the official language. Creole is used by the everyone else to speak. It's like Swahili, where everyone else is speaking with all the diverse communities, so it kind of blankets everyone. And they have actually a great religious tolerance. I think them and Eritrea have that, and Kenya as well. Well, I'm going to be biased because I know of Kenya. I knew of Eritrea, but now I'm hearing of Sierra Leone because they are predominantly 77% Muslim. And then with that 77%, the other is Christian, but they officially observe Muslim and Christian holidays, just like Kenya: Christmas,
Mhm.
Easter, Eid al-Fitr, and Eid al-Adha. Now, one weird thing that people will need to know is a quirky spot in postal history. is that in February 1964, it became the first country in the world to issue self adhesive stamps. The first one in the world.
Okay.
So put that, and next time you meet somebody from Sierra Leone, tell them that, and I'll be like, wait, how did you know that? And
Okay.
here's the proverb says, when you don't get along with a hunter in town, don't allow him to the bush, or don't follow him to the bush. I'll repeat that again. When you
Hmm.
don't get along with a hunter in town, don't follow him to the bush. Can you decipher the proverb for the day?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, if you're at odds with someone, it would not be wise to take advice from that person. They may do something to harm you potentially. So,
Okay,
yeah.
that is great the way you put it. Now listen to the proverb. It says, "When you don't get along with a hunter is at the bush. Don't follow him into the bush." So you're in town. That's your
Right.
home ground. Why would you follow him to the bush where he is an expert at whatever he's
Right.
going to do? So yes, you're right. Meet people at where they are and understand them, and be conscious of how they treat you and what their capabilities are of treating you. So therefore, like what we're going to talk about, mental health awareness. Understand where your mental health is, and if it's going somewhere, don't let it take you there if you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And at this time, we will go ahead and introduce our topic officially, starting with the title, which we have called this episode We Need to Talk: Normalizing Mental Health in the Black Community. And so, hmm, for too long, many of us were taught to survive. We're taught to survive, not to speak. What goes on in this house stays in this house. We were taught to be strong, pray harder, keep it moving. So, in this episode, we are dedicating it to normalizing conversations around mental health, dismantling cultural stigmas that often keep people silent. So, with this episode, we want you to note that we are advocate we advocate fiercely for wellness. However, we are not licensed therapists, counselors, or medical experts. This content for this episode is for informational and community building purposes only. However, if you or a loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, please reach out to a professional, and there are some resources that you can reach out to: the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, which you can reach by calling or texting 988. And they're available 24/7, free, confidential. We've actually mentioned this quite a few times. So, yeah, we definitely want to share that.
We should have had that ticker rolling in the middle, like.
We can do that.
No, no, no. I'm just saying, it's something that usually is great for working out on a show. However, here's some statistics, because it's a statistic report that says mental health issues can affect anyone. In the United States, about 1 in 5 adults has experienced a mental health condition in a given year, and 1 in 20 adults lived with a serious mental health illness. Among the youth, 16.5% of Americans between the ages of 6 to 17 experienced a mental health disorder in 2016. Now, um, this burden extends beyond individuals to families and caregivers. So, when you look at a caregiver, at least 8.4 million people in the US provide unpaid care to an adult with a mental health or emotional health issue, spending an average of 32 hours a week supporting their loved one. Now,
Mhm.
these figures underscore the need for timely and effective and also accessible mental health care. Now, the COVID 19 pandemic, that one we definitely have to put it out there, is also one of the things that intensify these challenges. In 2020, many adults reported that the pandemic had a significant negative effect in their mental health, with especially the high impact among people already living with mental illness and serious mental
Mhm.
illness. The data also shows overlapping needs related to substance abuse, suicide, risk and treatment access. Now, the treatment access is also another important thing, because if you live in the countryside and you're not living in the city, if you're not a city boy, you have a problem. You may not get access to this information right now, especially when hospitals are closed and stuff like that. So there's that discrepancy of things happening in that manner, that I wanted to highlight on that.
Definitely. To really understand why mental health is such a crucial conversation for us right now, we want to look at unique barriers and cultural layers um, of what we face in our community. So, in an effort to peel back those layers from the heavy weight of the strong Black stereotype to the pressure of keeping things private or prayed away to the genuine mistrust that many feel toward healthcare. But this isn't just about the struggles, it's about how generations are shifting, breaking those silences, and taking community responsibility for our collective healing. So we want to get into those particular themes.
Yeah, the first thing that we want to talk about, and that's the one that's the strong. Oh, no, no, no. But before we get into this part, let's take a quick break and acknowledge the people who are in. And I'd love to say, guys, thank you so much. Denise, you said hello, family. Anthony, about that wallet, I didn't want to call your rap name. Happy Wednesday, man. Welcome. Thank you so much. You've just had your show, I know. And thank you for switching over and coming to hang out with us. For everybody else who is on TikTok or on uh, YouTube or wherever you're catching us on, even on Clubhouse, thank you so much. We could not be where we are right now with all what you are doing, and we appreciate you all. So, with that, feel free to ask questions as we go along. And now, back to our topic. The theme that we're going to talk about is that strong Black stereotype. I think this is, I don't know, do we wear a badge with this, or do we kind
Mm,
of, it's like you're in a 50-50. You carry the badge as you know you're a strong Black man, right? And then you also have to carry the same badge and say, you know what, I'm a vulnerable Black man living in this world. um my issue there, and I think also if we look at it in terms of the health and the mental health, it is that ability to be able to switch off. When do you switch off? When is it the right time to switch off and claim that, hey, I am vulnerable, and this is not the space where I feel that I should proclaim my strong Black stereotype that I'm
mhm.
accustomed to. This is that catch 22 that I was talking about, Jen. What do you? Where do we? I think. Let me ask the question. Where do you think we can draw the line?
Well, it kind of makes me think about when we were having that conversation with Sir Urban Williams III, and
Mhm,
he talked about wearing the mask in the Paul Laurence Dunbar poem.
mhm.
And men and women do this. We wear the mask, you know what I mean, when we go into our corporate life, or the education life, or dealing with our kids, teachers and counselors and all of that. We may not represent as our authentic self that shows our feelings and um, emotional feelings and things like that, because we don't want people to get the wrong idea, or there's all these preconceived notions and such. But I mean, we have to get back to the authenticity, and be ourselves, and show our kids that it's okay to be upset, even if you're mad, even if you're frustrated or sad, it's okay to cry if you're a boy, you know what I mean, like it's okay, you had a moment, and we just, little by little, start making it okay, even with starting with our family, starting with our kids, all of that.
I think we have to do the part where we have to learn and unlearn as
Mhm.
well this situation, because it, it's just like you're Black. It's going to follow you everywhere. Black excellence is always going to follow you everywhere. So at any one time, you are always going to be carrying that stereotype, and then it follows you everywhere. So you kind of acting on that strong self. and people are looking at you as the strong self. Like, for example, I'm going to put this, like when a woman goes to the hospital and wants to ask for medicine, and when they're pregnant and in the hospital at labor, the nurses look at them like, no, 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 they're not, they don't allow them to have more medicine than they're supposed to, because of that fact that these are strong, whatever, um, women.
Tolerance for pain, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. That one.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
see, and I think it also will go with the mental health part, where somebody might come and say, "Hey, I feel some type of way," and this is not even on other people; it's even on ourselves.
Mhm.
We'll be like, "Bruh, look, we black," or "Bruh, you're an African," or "Bruh, you from here, bruh." You know, it can't happen to you. You got to be stronger than that. Stuff like that. You see. That is one of the major, I think, retur- which deters a lot of people, especially in men, to be
Mhm.
vulnerable to others, and even seek professional help, because
Mhm.
that is is a great hindrance in my perspective.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you mentioned a lot of things in that statement. The hospital and healthcare scenario. Yeah, it's a lot. But I mean, I think someone in the comments mentioned that we don't have to subscribe to these stereotypes. We have our children and ourselves and our family's best interests, and so if we, I think there's some kind of fear that they're gonna give medicine to someone that's got a habit or something like that, or but if you are truly experiencing pain, you need to verbalize that and share that with your healthcare professionals that are working with you. So yeah, I think this part, just speak up for yourself, speak up for your family, be an advocate.
Yeah, it is important to be the advocate
Hmm.
for others and for yourself, because I think nobody not I think, but nobody should be deterred, or should be asked to behave a certain way, like in a
Hmm.
stereotype. And this has to come from even the professionals. And they may not say it like out loud. There's that pseudo like thingy that they say in the background, and then you kind of feel it. Type of, when they tell you something, and then you go back and you're like, did that say that? You know?
Hmm.
So we shouldn't have that, um, those instances, and go to places where you find yourself in a situation where you're like, man, I wish I had somebody that could know where I'm coming from, and know what I feel,
Hmm.
understand where I'm from. So I think that part is one to look at. And the next one we also have is the family and church stigma.
Hmm.
We're told, pray, 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 pray. Pray it away, ignore it, keep it private.
Right.
Um, Now I'm going to throw this African card as well here, and
Uh-oh.
as African. And no, no, and if you hear me out, you'll see it. There's no. So it's a two part. It's either we're going to go to witchcraft, or we're going to go to the church. Pick a choice.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting you to say that. Um,
So with us, that's where our conscious to say, or trying to figure out what mental health is. Like, somebody has mental illness, or
okay.
somebody feels, the first thing they'll say, oh, somebody must have put some witchcraft or juju on that person, that's why they're like that.
But what's the solution though?
Oh, guess what the solution is? Let's go pray about it. We're
Okay.
not
There,
seeking we're not seeking help to the doctor or something. No, let's go pray about it. So the prayer is what's going to
so
solve
that's
this.
the problem. That's a problem. Or
Okay.
that's another problem, basically. Yeah.
Right, right. And that's been created by, I think it's just by the environment that is there, and the resources that are available.
Mhm.
They do not or have not seen the idea that you know um, you can it's something that can be fixed via drugs, and somebody can live with can have a mental disorder at some point and then be cured and go on. Then there are instances people have had a lapse, and then after that
Mhm.
they get cured, but it's not emphasized so much. It's
Okay.
witchcraft, let's go pray. Doctor, nah, I don't think the doctor
Even
can.
in this day and age, even in 2026, there's still this talk of witchcraft and like, or is that like back in the day? Or
Jen, as we speak right now, there is a prominent minister, and I'm going to put it out there here. My
mhm,
mom babysat him when he was younger.
mhm.
He got conned 76 million Kenya shillings, which is an equivalent of 76,000 US dollars, because of witchcraft.
Okay. Because of the accusation of witchcraft.
He went to consult a witch doctor,
Oh,
and he got
oh,
scammed.
okay.
A learned man, a
Mm,
learned man,
mhm,
you know,
mhm.
76 million Kenya shillings.
Wow.
So that in itself tells you that even in the upper echelons of society, they still believe in it, and which is where we have that problem. Now, coming to the US, right?
Right.
We come to now, I'm going to ask you to take the lead on that part. Family and church and stigma.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, it's definitely a cultural thing. Like the culture that you mentioned, is significant, right? I think in the U.S. in the Black community in the Black church, you do hear, these things of what stays goes on in the house stays in the house and praying it away and things like that. But I still think we should see the value in real counseling, or even there's religious based counselors. At one point in time, I have it on here to share my my therapy story of going to therapy as a teenager with my parents, when I was giving them a headache or whatever, going through my whole little teenage phase or whatever. um and I think they just went to whoever was approved through my dad's insurance. But as an adult, I looked into therapy, and then so many choices, right? There's religious based counselors that you can seek out. There's gosh, spiritual type of counseling. There's all these different ones that you can seek out. So I mean, I feel like religion can exist with therapy, and the whole praying it away thing is just kind of like a fallacy. It's just not real anymore. But it's hard to explain that to people from a different generation, an older generation. You know what I mean? And that's why these conversations are so necessary. That hey, we may need to talk to someone about this thing that you're experiencing, this thing that I'm experiencing. You know.
Okay, in the American experience.
Mhm.
Now, I'm just outside. I'll probably say I'm outside looking in because it's kind of unique in its own way. Um, I think the church and family stigma. I don't know how you people still not ready
Mhm.
with that part. Uh, the church being able to speak it out, because you see that I think, to me, this is my opinion, right? The church and medicine should be separated. When you cancel
Okay.
somebody and use Bible scriptures, right? Doesn't that contaminate the aspect of what you are? Because now it signals that the comfort that should have been given in terms from medicine is now given in terms of the Bible, whereas the Bible
But
is the resolve
I
for it.
mean, every case doesn't require medicine though, right? Like,
Yeah, but if you take them to church, then where are we? Where are we going with that? Because the pastor will tell you, okay, this is what it is. God tells you this, and read you the scriptures. And I'm not saying it's bad. After they read you the scriptures, and then they tell you, okay, go pray about this, and give you the positivity. Sometimes, and you do need positivity, right? But then now the blanket part of that positivity comes with that assurance that it's God that is going to help you, not the medicine. And by the way, people who have mental health issues usually are very carried away with the when you talk about church, anything to do with church and a higher being. Oh man, let me tell you, that is one of the thing that sucks them into their own reality, if I may say so myself. I've never been there, but I think it's a reality that they suddenly gravitate to, from my observation. You see, so
When you
now
say
when
they, you're talking with someone who's dealing with a severe mental health concern. Are you just saying that someone that, hey, I need to talk to someone, I'm dealing with something, some feelings, or like you're talking a more severe case in this
could
instance?
be, I think it could be either.
Okay. Oh, well, you mentioned medicine, and medicine is not usually like the first thing, that is, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, in your example, are you talking about someone that's really dealing with something, um, you know, like heavy voices or, something
No,
like
no,
that?
no, no.
Or
It can be. I don't think there's that heavy part. No, the heavy part. If by the time, let me tell you one thing. By the time it comes to that heavy part, you can look at a person and know this one. No, church
because
ain't.
everybody don't have medicine. Like I went to therapy, or counseling, whatever, as a teenager with my parents, and we went to what 4 or 5 sessions, whatever. And there was no talk of medicine. I wasn't just prescribed or diagnosed, that's the word I'm looking for, with being bipolar or anything like that. It was just like talking it out as a family, our little family, problems or whatever like that.
Okay. Yeah, but
There's some comments here. Why don't you share?
okay, so Denise had already said, and not to subscribe to the stereotype when we're talking about that black stereotype, strong black stereotype.
Mhm.
Ed, welcome Ed. He says, peace and family, welcome to the show. He says, wake up, Jen, you're cooking. I agree with you on that. That was
Wake
on
it up.
um, now Jr. is saying, if you're a professional, if you're professing the faith instead of healing, I see an issue. Yes, that's where
Okay.
the thing is. And then Ed, yes, Ed, you're right. There's a difference between mental health and mental illness. I think
Okay,
that
there we go.
points we're trying to forget. So now, Jen, where are we going with this? Are we going with the mental health or mental illness? We're not going with the mental illness. We're not going to touch on that. But
Well, it
the reason
sounds
I
like
mention it
you
is because
were
I'm
describing
mental illness,
correct, because that's the
but
scenarios where medicine and all of that.
they're almost there.
It just depends. So let's say, you go and you get therapy and you are diagnosed with bipolar 2 or something
Mm,
like that. And that, from my understanding, that conversation, these things can help stabilize you. Medicine is then brought into that type of conversation. But just, therapy, counseling, just counseling, usually, medicine and prescriptions are not really, unless you're being diagnosed with a condition, from my
Oh,
understanding.
okay. Yeah, because and then as Denise says, many health it really depends on your symptoms, right? So
Mhm.
if medicine is suggested, also she asked the clients, if they have had a full medical workup as well. So I think part of that will probably be at that point, and then they decide, okay, this one we can deal with it, and this one we're not going to deal with it at this point. And then many health issues can look like mental health illness. You see, so it could be like
Right.
even that part, a breakup, just a simple breakup with a significant other, that could be the start of the whole thing. It was just that
True.
was that was the one that broke the camel's back. So It may
That's true.
start like that, but like, this one, she just broke up. Oh, she's playing all those love songs. Okay, those love songs start off like that. Then you start closing yourself in those blinders in the house, crying, whatever, eating pizza. Don't want to shower, don't want to clean and stuff like. And then all that just starts growing and becoming bigger than what it was supposed to be. I think I've talked about this movie called The Maid.
I said, yeah.
Man, if you ever watch that movie, yeah, I would recommend that movie for somebody to watch and see how mental illness can just be moved out just by a small thing, and it
Yeah,
could.
it's a lot of different things going on in that. It's not just,
I'm
yeah,
telling you.
mental.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So for the church, and I'm saying this, there are eligible people who are able to give you help
Hmm.
in church. This year I missed my monthly men's health. They used to have it at the church. I don't know whether they did it this year or they missed out, but I usually go to that, and we always had a great conversation there as men. Somehow, Jen, I don't know why it is, the women had to be put in there.
The woman had to do what now?
We had to be put in there. We did it 2 years men, and then the third year, then I saw women. I was like, wait, this was supposed to be men talking about men stuff. Then the women are. Oh,
That's what I thought you said. Okay. All right, Sebastian Lord. Denise asked what movie. It's a series, right?
yeah, it's a series.
On, was it Netflix or was it
I
HBO?
think so. Yeah,
Oh
it's
no, it was Stars.
Stars. I think so. Yeah, yeah, that's the one.
Okay. But yeah,
Go.
it kind of dealt with like some domestic violence and things like that, and like what it looks like when you have to like go to a shelter and start all over again. So it was more than just mental.
No, it covered a whole lot. But
Yeah.
but
So
the
I
thing
was,
about the movie, now we're becoming movie critics. The thing
you
about the
brought it up.
it covered the whole atmosphere of everything that
Well,
could
what
go.
part was the mental health part? It was more about like getting out of a bad
Oh,
relationship and starting over.
no. Yeah, then there was a part where you could see. So it was disguised. So here's what it was. There were so many problems coming up onto her, right? And then there was
Right.
a part you would see her like she was in a hole, and the hole kept on getting bigger, and she was kind of being dragged into a hole
Oh, because
down.
like things just keep getting worse and worse, right? Like, and okay, so that's fair. That's fair. You know, someone who's experiencing severe mental health, it may just seems like a dark cloud is following you everywhere you go. Like, God, is this day like this is the worst week of my life? Like everything bad, it just keeps happening. In that series, she just kept getting into bad situation. You know, she has this crappy job. You know, her life is just not going okay. So I can, all right. I see that.
I mean, I don't know how people
Yeah.
mental health is very. I hear people things happening in Kenya, and I just pray.
And that's the thing. You can't deal with it
Even in the US,
alone.
even yeah, no, but Jen, look, let's put up let's look at it a mental health issue as a person, right? Okay, even here in America, it goes both ways. I lose my job today. My car is broken down. I can't go to get a job. I have to use a bus. Maybe I live in an area that does not have a bus. I have Uber. I have some savings on the account. Bills don't stop in the US. You ain't gonna call the credit company and tell, hello, I don't have, I lost my job. You know what I'm saying? What? No, miss, okay, thank you. You know, we appreciate you. We'll look into it, blah, take it in, da, 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 da. They called in. That's the fastest call they'll ever take and the easiest one. End of the month, that
But
bill
you know
shows.
what? It can always be worse, though. It really can. So, like,
No,
it's not
we're
the
just going
end of
down
the
the way.
world.
But Jen, you are looking at it in the positive manner. Like there's no, now
That's
we're
true.
just going through the motions. Now you lose your job, you lose everything. The credit card comes, you have to pay. Then you don't have money, food. And this is America. You know, now you have cans of food in there, and then some people are shy. And that's what we're going to talk about next: fear and mistrust. Right?
Okay. Okay.
Actually, it's gonna say, yeah, we're gonna. It's what do you say? Segue. It's gonna segue to the next one: fear and mistrust. Right?
Hmm.
So now you fear to go to the to get help from the
Hmm.
food pantry because maybe you might get to the food pantry. and you find someone you know, and then you're like,
Mhm.
Allah, the like, and not to make it funny, but it hurts.
Right.
They may not
No,
look
I
at
can
you,
understand that.
and then sometimes you could be in that position. You're like, even it both the people, and I think people have to give each other grace.
Mhm.
I may probably look highly of you. I see you. You're maybe my next door neighbor. You come to church, and you drove the best car around. You look like you had all. Me on the other side, I look like I'm not okay. But I'm standing there, and next thing you know, I see you coming into the food pantry. You shock me because I'm not expecting that. Then I have to recalibrate myself and change the way I'm thinking because I'm human, and then now get to serve you. You, on the other hand, are looking at me like, oh, this person, are they gonna go tell it on other people and tell them, hey, I know
Mhm.
so and so
Mhm.
was there, blah blah blah, isn't it? And those are the things that make you not want to go seek the help until it's way down. And so that's what happens with mental health. And Jen, another thing, your career.
Yeah.
There's some careers you can't say that you had a mental breakdown.
Right. And that's that example that you just, posed that, maybe running into someone, maybe you're volunteering and then someone has actually coming in there to get help, in that exchange. Don't make people feel bad about what they experience. You don't know what someone has went through. I can and this is probably a really bad and bougie example, and I kind of cringe at even sharing it, but just show you how some people like lose sight of sensitivity of, oh, you've experienced whatever. I'm a member of a lot of organizations, right? When my mom died a couple of years ago, I kind of took a break from my organizations. And then, you see people and be like, oh, well, you're not, an active member of this organization. We ain't gonna say no names, you know what I mean? And people actually like corner me if I run into them at the post office or something and be like, well, how come you're not active anymore? It's just like, well, I kind of, just taking a break and just, my mom died and, I'm just like, damn, you don't know what I'm going through. But that's like the only thing you can think about. Like, well, thanks for asking, how are you type of thing. But, in certain cultures and certain walks of life, this is where someone's, mental is, like asking about a dumb organization when you should be asking like, well, how are you? I know you were dealing with the passing of your mom. Are you good? Are you lost your job? Are you okay? But we're so caught up in all these stuff and things which don't matter. None of that stuff matters. It's nice, to be a member of organizations and do these things, but that's not what defines you as a person. you
But
know
Jen, you've touched on a very important thing, and I don't know if you realize that, but you're looking at your grief made you retract from solving, oh no, yeah,
Well,
solving other
social, whatever,
solving. Wait, I'm giving you. Wait, your grief stopped you from solving other people's problems, being
Okay.
that woman, right?
Okay.
Now, people don't understand that, and they don't want to look at that part of Jen had something going on, and they don't understand that. Them, they know Jen may have had something, or may not even know you for having whatever
Hmm.
your whatever happened in your life. You're a
Right.
private person, so when they meet you, they haven't seen you at the maybe last event. Okay, what's the first thing they would tell you? I mean, I don't know what your
Where
son,
you
what's
been?
going on. Then now, if you offer to tell them, hey, you know what, my mom did this and this, and then this is the reason why I took off, then it makes some sense. Now, the other part is I may know about it, but when I come and see you, maybe I don't want to push you back to that level because some people don't want to talk about it. Some people are
Hmm.
not, they're not receptive. So the best thing to get you, hey, where you been? I ain't seen you around. Like, oh yeah, I'm coming. Coming. You know that kind of that's what I'm expecting. They're not, and this is I'm looking at it on a positive manner. They're not looking at it
Yeah.
in the way of like, hey, Jen does not want to talk about this because this triggers her back to that particular emotion that probably is what took you back. So uh, grace on both part. Like I said, you show up to the place. I look up to you in church, and I'm like, that woman dresses so well, and she does so well, and she looks like she drives a nice car. Here I am driving this hoopty, and I'm sitting here trying to help people, and then she walks in trying to get some can of food. How do I adjust myself and calibrate myself within seconds? Because it's a shock. And within seconds, you are going to be able to give me just a second. Give me just a second. Yeah, hey, give me just a second.
No, that's a good point. For sure. And shout out to our additional platforms. We are doing the broadcast on additional platforms that Sambaza has set up for us. Definitely talking about mental health today. Kind of to reiterate our topic. Actually, the title is We Need to Talk Normalizing Mental Health in the Black Community. And we're talking about some of the stigmas that we experience in our community. We identified three themes that we were talking about: the strong stereotype, this notion that we need to be strong and endure unnecessary pain and things like that. We talked about a theme of family and church stigmas, this notion of that we can pray it away and things like that. And the last theme that we were discussing was fear and mistrust. Simbaza!
Right, I'm back. Oh, that's my my nephew. He's
Oh.
getting on the show, so I had to tell him, kind of, I'll be back. So I gotta go hang out with him after this. I
He's
apologize
like,
for
what are you doing in there?
Well, this happens on live TV, and things happen as we go along. Yeah. So where were we? We're talking about the fear and mistrust, right? So, oh yeah,
Mhm.
the last part I was talking about was when how to be able to change yourself within minutes, recalibrate yourself, and it's a human experience. And I think um, whoever is coming to get help has to have been able to accept themselves that, hey, whatever I'm going to get there is people who I know who may be able to help. And you on the other side, don't look at the person like that. Kind of say, hey, come on in. You need some help. We're gonna get this and this and this, and they say, oh, I need this, and then you go ahead and help them out. So I think at that level, you will have helped them overcome the fear and mistrust that somebody's gonna go say something elsewhere.
Right. And I think just going forward as a person personally, if you do come into contact with others, maybe someone, classmate you haven't seen in a long time, you know, keep it light and brief because you don't know what that person is going through. You know what I mean? And you don't want to offend someone by, assuming something, maybe they're working, waiting tables or something, it's like, oh, what are you doing here? You used to have
Oh,
a Mercedes. You know what I mean? Don't do that to people. You don't know what the deal is. This person's making an honest living. Just keep it casual. And I think it's just kind of hurtful to try to make someone feel bad about any of these kind of frivolous things.
I'll give you this experience I had. So when my mom passed away, I was back at the farm. So we went to the shopping center, the supermarket, and she used to go there all the time. So I was with it was I and the driver, her driver, and we were just kind of walking around to the supermarket, and then we were talking. So we went to buy stuff. So we went to this particular store because he knew where my mom was purchasing items. So he went there and said, "Okay, I want to get this and this particular stuff." So um, as we were standing there, that guy, the guy who was the guy who was selling, asked my mom's driver, "Hey, where's the lady who used to whatever?" Say, "Is that the son?" He said, "Yeah." I haven't seen the lady in a while, and I was standing on the side, and I could tell the conversation, the way it was going.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, at that instant, the guy had to change. So there were three people here. There's a person who was trying to find out the information, the person who was giving the information. I was the one who was, affected. I was looking and I was like, oh, okay. I
He
could
didn't
tell.
know though.
He did not know, but you can see the emotions of the
Okay.
people, the way. So now, if I articulate that in a way to somebody walking into a place that they need help or a shelter, you know, and they get in, and the first person they meet is somebody they know, like their neighbor.
Hmm.
They're like, don't do that.
Right.
Look firm, and then say, hey, you know what? I hey, come on in, then find out what's going on and get some help. Now, this one we were talking about general. Let's talk about it in a more professional manner. But before that, let's go back to the comments. Um, ah, uh, JR said, yeah, you gotta be very careful because superb sociopaths people twist what Sambaza said earlier. Yeah, yeah, a lot of people can twist a lot of things.
Right.
Um, yeah, but like you said, ours is just to have these conversations, our own conversations about how we've experienced it and how we've seen it. We're not giving you the professional advice because I don't think I'm a professional and I don't think I'll ever be a professional in that manner because there are people who do that job better than I can. But
For sure.
giving it to you in how I feel and how it may
Hmm.
affect somebody based on some of these, statistics that we see over here and some of the stuff friends tell us and what have you. So it's not something that we're trying to give out as a professional advice. No, you're not going to get any
Right.
professional advice. Yeah, just call that nine. What's that number? 988.
Nine
Check.
eight eight.
Yep, and you'll receive help there 24/7. It's in English and Spanish as well. Now we're going to talk about this other thing, the fear and mistrust. I think in a professional manner. Now, um, I've had, and this always rings to me. Remember that conversation we've always had that say this person was saying, "Oh yeah, it's in the ticker down here. You can see it down here. Okay, that ticker." Um, they said, "Why would I go talk to my problems to somebody else who just sits there?"
Hmm.
You know, they don't see the idea of me as a man going to sit and talk to somebody else, another man who may have the same problem. And I think it also goes to the same way as a person coming to you, like a girlfriend or even a best friend coming and telling you,
Hmm.
hey, I'm experiencing this problem. I think I'm not feeling right. My mental state is not in a good way. What can I do? You know?
Hmm.
And for someone to come and express that to you, I think there's a sort of trust that they have in you, and you should take it um, consciously that you matter to them to whereby they're able to be vulnerable to you. So I
Hmm.
think that fear, and then you know, you have that fear, like, okay, I'm gonna tell Jen, like I'm coming to you, Jen, and I tell Jen, man, I have this problem, and my trust is that you're not gonna go and tell anybody else because it's
Hmm.
something I'm being vulnerable to you. So if I am able to do all that, I think it's the part of the person who received that information to be able to look at it in a broader aspect and say, you know what, this person has trusted me and has told me, what options do I have to help them?
Right.
I can give my own personal opinion. I can tell them to go to church. I can tell them to call that 988 line. But before you do that, I think the first part is listen. People always
Hmm.
want to be heard.
For
First thing,
sure.
yeah.
Definitely.
If you don't hear them, the next thing is now they start to look for other options, and at that point you instead of being a conduit to success, you become an additional problem because I think at that point they now start veering off to go somewhere else. What do you think?
No, I agree with that. And then you mentioned like these, examples of, the person with the hoopty and the person with the nice car. That person with the nice car, they may be going through something, really serious. A lot of people think, well, just on based on outer appearance or something, or the car that someone drives, that they've got it going on and they are not dealing with anything bad. But they could be, like, a hair away from losing it, mentally, or having experiencing a breakdown or something like that. We've seen a lot of recent tragedies where people, appear to have experienced some kind of break. Someone could be, on the verge of a break. Don't just assume because they're wealthy, they have a lot of money, a nice car, they look great, they're attractive, that they have it all together. Everyone is, not what's the word? It
They're not immune.
exempt immune. They're not immune to having, feelings and things like that. So,
Let's talk about professional careers. I think we need to touch on that part because on a professional level, I I think there's some careers if you have, like for example, there was this basketball player, and I think he didn't make it to the league. I think he played about 2 or 3 seasons. He was playing for Houston. He had this.
okay.
He could not fly, and that was part of his mental. It was a mental thing. He could not fly. He just could not fly. So he had to drive wherever they go. They have to drive, and they couldn't accommodate him. And he basically lost the contract after a while. They had to let
What are
him
you
go.
talking about?
There's a basketball one basketball player.
Is that the one that he went by? No, Meta World Peace. No.
No, no, not Meta World Peace. No, no, no. Him.
Oh,
That was,
okay.
no, no. There was another one.
Okay.
He stayed. I think he stayed maybe 3 seasons in the league, but he could
Okay.
not fly. They had to. He had to drive wherever they go to. So if he was going to go to,
He
I,
personally would not.
he could not fly. He had
Okay. All right.
problems. Yeah. And there are other careers like maybe reporting and other. I think a couple of these careers where if you ever reported yourself to have a mental breakdown
Mm-hmm.
or you had a mental health issue, I think they will not be able to take you in because the stress level there will kind of push you back into that state of mind. Plane,
Mm-hmm.
I think pilots, you I know an astronaut you can't. An astronaut, they astronaut, SEAL, Navy SEALs, those
I
you're
was just
taking.
about to say the military definitely doesn't look. I've heard stories that it doesn't look good if you mark certain thing, certain boxes.
Oh
You
yeah,
know.
this is that's the
Hmm.
fastest way to get out of military is to mark those boxes right. You out, or they'll
But
move you to.
if you're truly experiencing something, it's a shame because you earned the right to have coverage for these things that you're experiencing, whether it's something like a pain in your back from what you experience or a pain, internally that you need to, you earned the right to, get your coverage for that. But, and I think we talked about this with Denise was here that a lot of them stay silent on these things because of that.
But when they look at it, the amount of training they've put to you, now that makes the dollars and the cents. HR is looking at dollars and cents on you. So they don't want to throw you off, put you in some type of thing because now they're looking at they haven't gotten your worth.
Hmm.
At some point things get hazy. And so now I think it brings out the fear. I got a gift. Oh, thank you, Bobby. I got a gift from uh,
On
my
TikTok.
yeah on TikTok. Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate that. So I think at a certain point, when the dollars and cents come in, that's where it becomes harder. And oh, thank you. So um, to me, I would say some careers also force you to be less vulnerable and tell them, hey, you know
Hmm.
what, I don't feel right mentally.
Right.
Because at that point they'll be like, okay, if they cannot be like this, how will they be in front of other people, or how will they be able to react in certain situations? And you could be a breadwinner for the family, so now you're faced with a choice of, do I put myself out there in that way, or do I keep back, or keep it back in the family? And then you remember what you say in the beginning, like the family, what's said here stays in here. We're never going to talk about it out there.
Hmm.
So at that point you decide. And then I think it may also come back to being cultural. You
Hmm.
decide, you know what, because this is what I've been taught. What's the first thing to do? I need to keep up the stereotype, and maybe I'll go to church and say, hey, let's pray it away, you know. Now, for the case of being in Africa, we're gonna choose either is it going to be juju or now
But
since it's
faith without works is dead. So just going into the church is not going to do nothing for nobody. You know what I mean? You
right,
have to make a change, and you have to make a decision and put some action into play. If and this is just my opinion, but I mean, and I believe faith without works is dead. Hello? Amen. You know what I mean? Like you have to do the work, basically. You got to do the work.
right.
You got to
No,
do the
no,
work.
it has to come from self. But I think
Yeah.
the first thing to do is the idea of having saying I need help. When you say tell yourself I need
Yes.
help, and you walk
Right.
to a source, or you make that call and tell a friend, hey, I think I need help. I think that's
Mhm.
where you've taken your first step. Everything after that now will fall into play according to how everything looks in front of you. And
Right.
I think based on that, when we look at all these things, the stereotype, the church family stigma, fear and mistrust, we should always look at ourselves at the first instance.
Mhm.
We decide, we feel we have a problem, we go out and say, I have a problem. Then we
Mhm.
go forward. So I think um, when we start off there, we're doing good. Our mental health is in a positive way. But if you deny yourself all those, I don't think you're going to go anywhere.
Right.
Oh, Ed says something here. Uh, this is a very very profound episode. Go ahead, Sister Jen, drop in scripture with her preacher voice.
You caught that? Okay.
I think Jen, with that, I think we have summed it all up, and
We did.
I think
This is good.
with our own experiences and what we have seen, it kind of tells a lot. Yeah. And with that, I say, Jen, take us home.
All right. Well, we thank everyone for joining us for this conversation, and we hope that you have been inspired and enlightened. If you found the episode meaningful, we ask you to consider sharing it with friends, family, colleagues. Our collective awareness and advocacy play a crucial role in creating positive change. We invite you to stay tuned for more engaging content, and we look forward to continuing these important conversations in the future. So until next time, everyone, be well and take care.
Oh, and bye. Oh, Bobby said something here before you leave. She said, you have to believe you want to change in order to
Mhm.
change. That is a very
Absolutely.
Bobby.
Absolutely.
All
That's a
right.
great thought. All right. Well, everyone, till next time.